I want to tell you a little bit about Rita. She's 83 years of age, still mostly healthy, lovely woman. She spent over 30 years teaching in elementary school. But Rita's experienced quite a bit of change in her life recently. She lives alone as her husband passed away unexpectedly a few years ago. She doesn't trust her driving any longer, so the number of days that she gets out of the house has declined quite a bit. She watches about 6 hours of TV a day. Not uncommon, actually. And it's not because she wants to necessarily, but frankly, there's just not a whole lot else to do. She's had close friends over the years, but many have moved to be closer to their families or have passed away. And her own family visits and calls, but they've got busy lives of their own, and she gets that. And while Rita's generally a pretty positive person, she can't help but feel a bit lonely at times. To feel like she's losing purpose in this world, or even worse, that she's becoming a burden. This situation is fairly typical. In fact, studies show that nearly half of all older adults struggle with loneliness, and those who do have a significantly higher risk of physical and mental decline and even death. Yes, loneliness kills. But loneliness isn't purely a function of being alone. One can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely. Loneliness is often triggered by loss, physical loss, which is inevitable and even expected, but also societal loss, that loss of feeling valued in this world or of feeling like you still have an identity. See, after all those years of being valued and recognized as an educator, Rita still wants to make a difference. Maybe not in the same way as before, but in some meaningful way. Yet she feels this growing divide between herself and society. Now, you may hear this and think, poor Rita. And yes, it's a sad story. And yes, it could be costly in many ways. But guess who else suffers in this situation? Us. Me and you. Society. Because see, while some people are outliving their physical capabilities or their friends, even worse, they're outliving their perceived usefulness to everyone else. And we suffer. For example, did you know older adults who spend time with young children are less likely to experience falls, perform better on memory tests, or in better shape physically? But guess what else? The children that participate in those same intergenerational programs are less likely to skip school, to begin using drugs or alcohol. What a win-win. Now, maybe not every older adult wants to participate in these types of volunteer programs. For some, maybe it's as easy as just sharing their stories or life experiences. Consider Alma Bob. At 103 years of age, she speaks to students at Penn State Medical School about the changes that come with aging, so that her students or those students can be better prepared to serve an aging population. Her talks have become one of the most popular lectures of the semester, especially among those who have little experience with older adults. Who's going to reach out and find more of these untapped resources? See, by seizing these opportunities, we have the chance to help change the world from the top down, from the oldest down to the youngest. I know that sounds crazy, change the world, but don't you agree that Alma Bob is not only helping herself, but also helping the world? Who's going to reach out to older adults and say, we don't want you drifting away. We value you, your life, what you've accomplished and what you can still teach us. We need you. See, this is about connecting in a bigger way, connecting to the past with the future and to each other. So what am I asking of you? I'm asking you to change the way you think. I'm challenging you to think about ways that you can help prompt these opportunities in the workplace, in schools and universities, in churches, maybe even in your own neighborhood. And as you do, remember this, the life you change may very well be your own. Thank you.